Client Showcase. This is where I go over projects that have recently been launched where the client had some really unique goals and some obstacles that we were faced against as well. So here's the idea and the concept. This is a local client here. They came to me. This was their past site. Obviously, I'm not one of these web dudes that just sit there and bash like current aesthetics or designs of sites. It happens, and that's obviously their goal is to not only revamp the look, but the more of the functionality as well. So they brought this to me, and of course, you know, obviously on the eyes is extremely outdated, very obviously not responsive. But it had served its service, and their clients, they're a B2B type of business, so it wasn't that big of a deal. And the time had come where they were saying, okay, well, we obviously want a good look and feel, but in addition to that, we do want to serve some additional functionality where they were giving their clientele applications that were able to be downloaded, inputted, and then sent back privately. So it was a really neat thing. Not everyone has that kind of goal or need, and I was excited to hit this and tackle it head on. So one thing about me with my clientele, I don't send over these huge packages and elaborate marketing paraphernalia. It's really simple, right to the point. After a meeting or two, I don't ask them their budgets. I just say, look, here's what we're going to focus on in this particular build. Obviously, I come up with the look and idea, so I put this in the link that we've kind of gone over another look and feel that's really exciting. And here's where some of the things we were going to be focusing on. Custom downloadable forms. There was going to be about 100 of them. So one thing too, on a tangent real quick about me, and probably why I'm sought after a lot in my immediate area, is that I don't just yes people to death. And even though from a development standpoint, it would have been awesome to charge this particular client 100, the manpower of downloading and implementing 100 types of files and media within the WordPress. And what I ended up doing for this client to save them a tremendous amount of time and money was I did 5 of them, and we had this kind of an agreement off the table. Was like, listen, I'll do 5 of them, send you a video on how to do it yourself, and then if you can't, then let me know, and then I'll feel better about charging you for what I just kind of consider it monkey time. It doesn't really require brains, it just requires a lot of input. So they were super thrilled about that because I was able to save them a significant chunk of change, and it ended up working as well. So that was something that was really neat, where these forms were going to be 100 of them, a capacity of 100. And here's some of the things they didn't have, which most of these people, everyone knows now, a site should have an SSL. And if you don't know what that is, get in touch with me or figure it out. It's imperative to have. It's big time, especially just whatever. I'm not getting into that. SSL is huge. New intake forms, so people could come in, fill out. Potential consumers could fill it out. Most of any site that I touch, especially if it's in a WordPress environment, I make sure that site is completely optimized. So there's a lot of bells and whistles that go into it as far as just building it appropriately, making sure that there's content on every page, etc. So that came with it. That was one of the goals. For those familiar with WordPress, very much like an iPhone or a phone in general, there's plugins that facilitate the needs and useful tools that we're going to be using through the site. Some carry licensing fees, some are free, but either way, making sure that the plugins that we are using are 100% up to date, work and compatible with the newest WordPress platform, and also they're going to service, and the client also knows what plugins there are. I can't even tell you how many times I met with a client. I had one yesterday. Get in touch with me. They want to do a few things to their site. I log in. There's 16 plugins out of date. Client says, what's a plugin? And I'm thinking, why are people building sites that are not educating their consumer what it is that they have, so that they can either keep up to date with it and or at least work with someone ongoing where they know that, hey, you have 20 plugins that are facilitating the needs that you have on the site, and they need to be updated. So that's something that comes with me as well. You're going to have optimized plugins. They're up to date. Custom imagery and video, we're going to get into that, and I'll show you. A lot of times people and those that are web developers, and especially freelancers in general, a lot of people come to you and they don't have their own marketing paraphernalia or marketing pieces or JPEGs and things of that nature that are going to be going onto the site. I supply, usually within the pricing or the package if need be. I will help them with kind of some branding. Now, I don't consider myself a branding dude, but I will help them with some, text overlay, logo overlay of some rights-free imagery, etc. So that was in there. And then most importantly, with the WordPress, capable of building add-ons to the site without ever having to change platforms. That's a huge deal that my clientele need to know. I preach that and beat that relentlessly, is that you will always be able to grow and span when you invest in WordPress. Self-explanatory here, responsive across all, mobile, tablet, computer, obviously, social feeds. In this particular case, it was going to be HTML5. I highlight that it will be optimized for search engine because it'll be fast page load. And then here's something too with the clientele that want it, is training videos that are actually catering to that site, addressing them, condensed and broken videos that are sent over to them once sites launch so that they know how to use it. And they don't need me. And that if they want me, they can move forward with ideas and concepts that helps bring the exposure to it. But most importantly, there is address always letting them know that your operating costs for your brick and mortar, there's nothing ongoing, excluding any plugins or licensing, but in this case they didn't need. I highlighted the pages. Now what we were going to be doing was extracting most of what pages were on here, with addition to adding some few, and then I always do the custom concentration, which is kind of what are we going to really be focusing on. And once again, you'll notice ironically what I said earlier, the 1 to 3 are going to be done by me. I end up doing 5. And then training videos on how to do the rest, which was going to be the most of the meat and potatoes of this site, was that custom downloadable forms. And then color and design. In this case, they already had somewhat of a rhythm and a rhyme, so we kind of bled that into the new site and the continuity into that. So moving into the site, this is where the fun began. So it's a complete custom built WordPress on their host, which was really awesome. Sometimes people have to start with a new host if they don't have an environment that can house a WordPress. But in this case, I made sure that the client had daily backup systems. I made sure that the client had the bandwidth and the PHP variables that were going to be able to handle a new type of site. So here we had also in this case, I was able to work with them to the capacity of helping them with logo design. So I redid their logo so that it looked good, smelled good, and this is all imagery that just really pops because it's obviously in their backyard at Flagler Beach. I came up with what I would consider like an acronym logo, which just helped with some placements throughout the site. You'll notice like on the bottom and the footer and stuff, it just helped with some branding. So taking it from head to toe, it was really cool. We had, I'm a big fan of just like who, what, where, why, within a few seconds of what you're doing and why you're doing it. So contact information, hours, address. I'm not going to sit here and go about the design. I think anybody in web development now, if you don't build a site that looks good, then that's not where the budget should be cultivated from. Like, oh, it looks good, so it's going to cost more. I would want to say that most sites that I build all look good and they're making the client happy with my constructive criticism. In addition, I'm just yes and desk. So the site I feel does its due diligence, has its, had the flow, it fit what they wanted. Once again, you'll see here we kind of had the logo overlay and things of that nature that I helped them with and I designed through their advice and what they wanted. So you scroll from head to toe, it's a good clean site. That's not really the point of the video, but where it's really fun is the applications. And this is where I thought was really neat. Super simple. Now their clientele, I studied. Oh, and by the way, you guys, for those that know me, I love video, so I'm trying to implement video throughout a site as much as possible. We have just a clean little video here on the header just to give it some appeal and make it not as boring. Because it is the demographic in which they're in is commercial insurance, and it doesn't sound too fun and to deal with, so it's kind of a necessity. So I said, well, let's make the site a little bit more fun to be on and appealing. So this is for their B2B clients. They come here and they've got this tremendous resource of all these forms that you're able to view and download, fill out, and then send back to them easily, more fluid, and they didn't have this functionality before. Most importantly, they were able to know how to use it now. So here's what's neat. I did 5 of them, and the client that I was working with was super sharp, pretty more than the average web savvy, so he picked up what I was throwing down right away. I did about 3 or 4 of them, or I think 5, and sent the video, and he went and ran with it, and he did it, and you can see it seems a little bit basic because it's like, well, this isn't really that pretty and interactive. Clientele. These are people that are already working with them that just need to find the forms accurately, fast, and then make sure that it's easy to read, legible, etc. And I think we supplied that amazingly. So once again, I was able to save them so much money on educating them on how to take care of the site once the services were rendered. This was a really fluid build. I had a lot of fun with it. Local clientele. The people are very dear to me as well. I happen to go to school with their kids, and it's just been great. So either way, this is the site. I already have it on my portfolio. Check it out. But this is a really good example of a few things, and I'll close on this. 1, saving clients a ton of money, because a lot of developers and a lot of freelancers in general just salivate at the mouth at the opportunity of hearing large needs, and like, oh, you're gonna need 100 forms on there, you're gonna need this, you're gonna need an SSL, you're gonna need they just get excited and they yes them to death and they throw this crazy amount of money. Where I'm going, look, I shoot myself in the foot fiscally basically and said, look, let's get what we need to get done, and where I find that you'll need me and be able to exhaust me to my full capacity, and then get you in a position where you can handle it by means of educating you on what you're investing in. So this was like a prime example of a great client. The communication was flawless. We built this, and I think we were able to have this done. I guesstimated this site to be done within about 24 days. That's the thing about me. I'm not one of these guys that take forever to build. As long as I've got the content and communication, we're good to go. This guy was right on the money. We were banging this stuff out right away. I think we had this site live and functioning within like 14 days, not even. So we're live. We're still making some final tweaks and some additions. Getting the SSL set up was a little finicky because they were already on a domain without the SSL. So for those that know that, there's a little bit of some migration period. But overall, we're live, and I hope you guys check it out. And I hope this is starting to help you for those that are on the fence or trying to think about how to approach a project, and it may seem super cumbersome or very, you're nervous because it's going to be expensive or this. No, just settle down. One thing about me, once again, you get this little breakdown after a chat with me, and we're going to hit this project on, and most importantly, you're going to know how to use it once it's built. This isn't something that I have the proprietary information or it's on my host and you need me to move forward. Anything after I launch a site, it should be a return on investment. That's the goal. Marketing, SEO, all those fun stuff once the site's launched or revamped. But either way, hope this was helpful. I know they're a little long, but there's a lot to fit in there, and I hope these people, I had a lot of people start asking me like, hey man, you should show some of these sites off and how you built them and what they're doing, because other people might need them. So client showcase, hope you enjoyed it. Talk soon.